Yeah, you said it exactly, Zach. That was my respect for the Canes after what they did to the Jackets this weekend. Nightmare weekend for Georgia Tech from national seed to at large. Completely stunned by Miami's turnaround. We were playing awful baseball for almost 30. Yeah, I mean, I don't think Georgia Tech's not at large. I mean, they're still. Again, like if they just play well the rest of the way, they're still fine. Now you just have to, you have to win one series. That's the only difference. Which is, again, like they did not play well this weekend. So it's not like that's like, oh, well, that's going to happen, right? They're going to have to. I mean, offensively, they looked bad. Defensively, they looked terrible defensively. The pitching was bad too. I mean, Tate McKee threw well, right? Tate McKee threw well. Brady Jones looked bad. Caden Spivey looked bad. And the defense, every game was terrible. That was the biggest. I mean, the offense and the defense were the biggest, like, kind of surprises. We kind of ran into Miami's A pitching, like their best pitching all year. John, playing Georgia then traveling to Miami could have affected this weekend. Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's nothing, right? Sometimes it's not like. Sometimes it's baseball. Like at some point, your team just like goes cold. That happens to every team. Like Tennessee got beat by Kentucky this weekend, right? I mean, it just happens everybody. Like Tennessee got beat by. So Tennessee has lost 2 series in the SEC so far, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. They're 12-6, right? Tennessee is 12-6. Georgia Tech's 14-7. They're like same position. Tennessee's got 2 losses in ACC play. It's to Kentucky and to A&M. Like, who would have thought? So sometimes it's just your team just doesn't play well. There was no signs at all that this turnaround was coming. It was such awful baseball. We were getting blown out by teams like UCF, FAU, Stetson, FIU. When Mikey Torres is hitting 3-run bombs, things are just going your way. Yeah, and to be honest, Canes, or not Canes, sorry, Zach, you guys are like the same to me. Just to be honest, like from what I saw today, it's pretty. I could almost bet that Miami had something on Georgia Tech's starter. Now, obviously, he wasn't in very long, but a lot of the swings on like 2-1 breaking balls, just like pitches, you're like, yeah, that was kind of funny. Like he was right on that slider or right on that break, whatever. So I think, particularly today, I think Miami had something on, a couple of the pitchers, whether they were tipping or something. But again, the real surprise was obviously Friday night should have been a win for Georgia Tech. Like Friday night, they made, like, again, we talked about it, but like in the scorecard, it was 2 or 3 errors, but it was really like 5. That 3rd or 4th inning, whatever it was. Yeah, Georgia Tech. Yeah, I will say this. No, Miami played really well. That's not taking anything away from Miami. It's just Friday was a game that Georgia Tech, if you play like even half as clean, it's probably a win, right? Because like you mentioned, bases loaded, no run. With no outs, you get no runs, and then that one inning they make like 4 errors. If they make 2, Miami scores 1 or 2. And, if they have like a decent approach at the plate with bases loaded, they get a run or 2 across. That's the game. But Miami still wins the series. I will say, like Miami just looked like a better team. And it's funny, Canes, I'll pull it up on screen, but Canes posted this tweet. And Georgia Tech hasn't played well at Miami, okay? Miami's last sweep, forget about this. Georgia Tech has not won a series in Coral Gables since 2011. Who was there? Your boy. That was your boy. And the last time Miami swept Georgia Tech was back in 2015. It's always been a competitive, right? It's always been a competitive series. But Canes, out of the woodworks, tweets at me. I said, since 2011, who was there? Canes finds this article from 2011 previewing the series. And in the article, it says, the Yellow Jackets carry a 388 batting average into the weekend behind the strength of Kyle Wren with a team-leading 467 average and 42 hits. This was the third series of ACC play. So the third series of ACC play, that's what I was hitting. He has swiped 8 bases in the past and totes a perfect fielding percentage. I thought that was funny that Canes just like dove through the woodworks to find it. Pretty cool, though. But I think Miami and A&M definitely two of the hottest teams in the country. Considering y'all have only had one road loss before this, it's just baseball. Yeah. It sucks that you just hope like they're able to. That was the one series that was the first series all year that Georgia Tech has not looked good. You could go back to Marshall and say, okay, they split that series, but again, they put up runs. This was the first series all year where Georgia Tech's offense was just like shut down. The whole series all year. Because even against Clemson, they had the 18-run game, right? So this was their worst series, like, in every aspect of the game. Pitching looked bad. Defense looked bad. Offense looked bad. And again, you can't win a game if all three of those look bad every game. Wes, what's up, man? Welcome back. I missed your trolls in the chat, Wes. Where you been, dude? In the minors, how exactly do they decide to cut a player from the roster? There's a lot of different things. I mean, like, basically in the minor leagues, it depends on what level you're at. Sometimes it's just like, when I was playing, there was 40 rounds, right? So you had a lot of guys that were drafted as basically like roster fillers. They weren't drafted. You didn't draft them thinking, these are your guys that signed for like $500 and not all of the guys that get drafted like that. Some are senior signs who like they just have no leverage, so they have to sign for a low amount. But there are a lot of guys who are drafted that they're not looked at as being like a real major league prospect. So those guys usually get cut first. If usually the cuts happen in spring training and then post draft when a bunch of new guys are coming in the system. And then you have guys in AAA, like this happened to me, where I was making like $20,000 a month in AAA because I was a minor league free agent. I had been in big league camp for 2 or 3 years at that point, and so I was like I was like a 295 career hitter in the minor leagues at that point. So I signed a good contract, minor league contract, but about 2 months in, I really was not. Weird. It was a weird situation because typically guys like that you sign, invite to big league camp, they're kind of like your depth guys in AAA in case a guy or two gets hurt up top. But I just wasn't playing a lot. You can go back and look, and for Cincinnati, I was not playing very much at all. And so, like, hitting coach comes into the clubhouse early and goes like, "Hey, Ren, like manager wants to see you," and that's not a good sign if you're not playing a lot. So I walked in knowing I was about to get cut. So it just happens like that. It's kind of random, but again, the big times are end of spring training or sometime during spring training, and then like generally after the draft, because that's when a lot of guys are getting pushed, are coming into the system. So those are spots that are no longer there. Look at the video of Kalenic I tagged you in. Wonder what Coach Kyle would do in that situation. Yeah, that was just unbelievable for a guy who's hitting like below 200 to do that in a game. Again, it's just to the crowd that says, let the boys play, let them have fun, let them pimp their home runs. It's like, okay, but like that's what is going to happen. When it's okay to like hit a ball and just like walk out of the batter's box and watch it, that is inevitably going to happen. Inevitably, you are going to have guys that do that. So I thought should have been benched. It doesn't matter if it's happened one time or two. It's not acceptable at any time. Any time, it's not acceptable for a ball that hits off a wall to not be a double. So that's my unless it's a screaming line drive and it's like David Ortiz hit it and like, he's like 37 years old. It's like, okay, that's different. But when a ball that's hit that high and that much hang time, like he's got to be benched. Notre Dame sweeps Stanford. Stanford's now 1-14 in the last 15. Yeah, that's crazy. Crazy. Happy Easter, Cap. Thank you. Yeah, happy Easter. Yeah, so it was a rough weekend for Georgia Tech baseball, but again, you're going to have weekends like that. You just hope it's once, right? But Miami's back in the driver's seat, man. Miami is back in the driver's seat. They are 500 with 12 games left in the ACC. They can legitimately, Miami has the ability to host now. If they finish strong, let's look at Miami's remaining schedule. And I think they've figured out like their starting rotation, just to be honest, like Siskar looked really good. Am I concerned about Georgia Tech's offense? No, I'm not. I mean, it was unfortunate that the kind of all the bats went cold, but an offense like that is not going to be down for long. I think a good test is this, Tuesday game against Auburn. Like, can they show up? But not worried about them at all. I mean, it's, in the game of baseball, your offense is going to go cold at some point. Just unfortunate that it happened in that series. Okay, let's see. So Miami has won 3 straight ACC series. Then you go back to the North Carolina series. They lost 2-0, 4-2, and 1-4-2. So, like, the pitching did really well. Next, Miami has Boston College. That should be a series win, right? NC State, that'll be tough. Virginia should be tough. And then they finish with Notre Dame. So, dude, Miami's got a really good... Miami should make the tournament. If they play like they did this weekend against Georgia Tech, they will make the tournament, and they have an outside chance, like a 20%, I would say maybe even higher than that, chance of like finding a host. They seriously have that chance. And I will say this right now. With this team that Miami has, if they make the tournament / host, like that's big credit to JD Arteaga. That's big credit to him because they do not have star power outside of Daniel Cuvée. They got some young arms that are going to be really good. Like, Siskar was nasty. I mean, his sinker was running. It was moving a bunch. And just like, if he can just pair his sinker slider like that, like he did against Georgia Tech, wow. Also have to win midweek games against FIU. Sweep Notre Dame, win 2 or 3 against BC. NC State and Virginia, and good run in ACC tournament. And it just disappeared. Let me see what you said, Zach. Good run in the ACC tournament and can definitely be a host. Yeah. Again, I think they're definitely going to make the tournament just with their remaining schedule. Because if they win 2 of 3 at Notre Dame, 2 of 3 at Boston College, that puts them at 13 and 11. And then let's say they lose the series, NC State, lose the series of Virginia. They're at 15 and 15. So they're in. Like they have a pretty easy, should be a fairly easy path to making the tournament. They got to surprise. They either got to sweep both Boston College and Notre Dame or just win 3 series. And they have a chance at hosting. Baseball weather has finally started to cooperate in New England, finally starting to play some ball. Miami has a bunch of lively arms and stashes. Great stuff as usual, Kyle. Yeah, I think Miami's got some young arms, man. Miami's got some really good young arms, and their starting pitching was just electric this weekend. All that has been in my head all day is Joe Test's play-by-play call of the FSU Georgia Tech game. He got it. I haven't been more proud of these boys in a while. Dude, yeah, I mean, Miami played very well. They played about as clean a baseball, like across the, defense, offense, pitching as they've probably played all year. And that was the pitching that we saw early in the year. And we were right to criticize JD and the team. There was literally no signs of this turning around. You saw how bad the hitting stats were, but got to give them credit for turning around. Yeah, I think for Miami, what you hope is that the offense gained a lot of confidence this weekend, and they can continue that against Boston College. Like if they sweep Boston College, watch out. Like if they sweep Boston College, they're in really good shape. Like really good shape. And it's all thanks to me. Oregon is the best team west of the Rockies. Yeah, I mean, I think Oregon. I think Oregon, to be honest, I think UCLA. I think UCLA and Oregon should be the two national seeds, or at least one of them should be a national seed. I don't know why Oregon State's in there. Oregon's really good. UCLA is really good. Consistency is key, though. Baseball's a funny sport. It is, man. It is. I mean, and me and Dusty said it, like, Georgia Tech really doesn't play well at Miami, and it showed this weekend. I mean, what you have to say is that Georgia Tech probably played its worst defensive weekend all week, all year, and its worst offensive weekend all year. Really bad. The team poured water on me in the locker room. They said my Warriors in the parking garage and my Warriors listening to the pitch calls, and of course, juice, baby. They said we were the difference this weekend. Yeah, sure. Oregon has serious offensive power. They do. They do. Oregon's really good. UCF upset TCU this weekend. So do you think the locker room is going to be locked in for Auburn even more? I mean, I think this is probably a wake-up call. And again, like, you just never know. Like, you have down weeks. But I think for sure they're going to be like, all right, we need to relock, John. I think that's definitely going to be on their mind. Like, we need to relock. Auburn also got swept this weekend. So that's two teams that are going to be like coming off of a weekend sweep, trying to get back going. So it's going to be an interesting game. Clemson obviously took the series against Louisville. Louisville did win Game 3. Ole Miss won Game 3 against South Carolina. West Virginia swept Cincinnati. North Carolina won the series against Virginia Tech. Vanderbilt swept Georgia. I mean, it's a lot of really good teams getting swept. Georgia, number 5, got swept. Auburn, number 8, got swept, albeit by number 1. Oregon State barely beat Cal State Northridge yesterday, 15-12. Again, it's just like the resume doesn't line up for me for Oregon State. Kyle, which conference is better, Big 10 or Big 12? I think they're both pretty close together. I don't think there's one that is better than the other. Virginia's 95 in RPI, worst RPI in the ACC. Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy that Virginia's that low. Notre Dame is 41 RPI. Irish going for an at-large. LSU won the series against Alabama. Boston College beat Wake Forest this weekend. A lot of turmoil in the ACC this weekend. Duke swept Pittsburgh, so Duke's at 12-9 now. Watch out. Difference between Auburn and Georgia Tech this past week, though, is that one team is 1-3 and one team is 0-4. I think you know why. Yeah. You're right. You're right. It was a tough week for Georgia Tech. NC State swept Cal. NC State's now 12-6 in the ACC. Like I said, NC State just always finishes strong. That's going to be a tough series for Miami. Like, they're going to have to play really well. They have to play like they did Notre Dame going for an at-large. I don't know about that. 7-14. They got 9 games left at 7-14. They have to go 8-1 to get to 15. I don't see that happening. Certainly if Miami, beats them in a series. Why is it that 50% of first rounders never even play in the big leagues? Because again, a lot of those guys are high school players. High school players, it's a massive jump just going to pro ball versus like up how big the jumps are from like A ball to double A, from double A to triple A, and from triple A to the big league. So, baseball is just really hard, man. And even a lot of college guys that are first round picks don't pan out. And you have to take this into account, Wes. A lot of those first round guys that do make the big leagues, they kind of get that gifted like spot in the big leagues. I can think of a bunch of guys like Corey Ray from Milwaukee. Just look up his numbers in the minor leagues. He got a shot in the big leagues, right? So some of those guys don't even really deserve it. Need a bounce back week from Georgia Tech now? 100%. You were the enemy until 4 p.m. today, and now we help each other. Appreciate that. Kyle Peterson said 12 wins should get an SEC team in. In some cases, he said 11 can get you in. So that's how strong the SEC is this year. Yeah, I don't really disagree, man. Like I've told you guys, I think the SEC is as deep as it's ever been. To me, though, what I don't like is that at 12 wins, I just feel like you shouldn't get in. But I understand like the arguments behind it. And we did all of that without Derek Williams, who was only able to pinch run. And Todd Hudson is out for the year after he was on fire the last 2 weekends. He said with these super conferences, somebody's 13-17 may be better than someone's 17-13. 100%. There's going to be a 13-17 team in the SEC that if you put them in the Big 10 or the Big 12 or even the ACC, they're going to finish in the ACC. A 13-17 SEC team maybe finishes 15-15. Or 16-14. And then in the Big 10 and the Big 12, they probably finish at like a 17-13 or better. Not everyone's schedule is equal. Yeah, 100%. I think A&M plays like the top 7 teams in the SEC. They certainly are right now. There's no denying that. It's crazy to think that A&M is 8-10 in the SEC right now, with how they started. Who determines these MLB draft boards? They seem off. A lot of them are just kind of like MLB writers and like Baseball America guys who follow a lot of the players and project them. It's never 100% accurate. And again, like, There are teams who will draft a certain player in the first round, and other teams are like, we wouldn't have picked him in the third. That again, it's like it's very subjective. So in the MLB draft, the thing that's subjective is that, especially with hitters, like pitchers, especially out of college, one, you're looking at performance. Are they dominating college hitters? 2, how does the stuff profile? Does the stuff profile at the big league level? Is he a pitcher in college who kind of doesn't have has some below average major league stuff, but he's just got such good command. He dominates college hitters. Like, he's not going to get drafted as high as maybe some people would think. It's stuff like that. Slot values. Exactly, Zach. Like, guys get drafted because they're more signable in a certain round, or you may be able to save money on them later in the first round. Stuff like that. Realistic question. Do you think we had anything on you this weekend? You mentioned that we had something on Arnold, which I think we did. Yeah, Canes, I was saying today, I'm pretty sure you guys had something on Spivey, starter for Georgia Tech. The swings, because what's a good indicator is when you see like guys just teeing off on off speed, when it's like not really an off speed count, or it's just, like the timing is like perfectly in sync with an off speed pitch. That's when you can tell. It does not every time, but that's usually a good indicator that like, it looks like something. Looks like something. Something was up. So I'm sure they had some stuff on it because every team is looking for that stuff. Yeah, Corey Ray had low 200s batting average and still played a little in the bigs. Yeah. Yeah, Corey Ray. Corey Ray. I heard the story from a guy who was in rehab in the minor down at the spring training complex, and when Corey Ray was down there, I don't know if he was hurt too or something. And they said they were hitting off a machine, and this guy told me he saw Corey Ray swing and miss like 40 straight times on a fastball machine. Now that's ridiculous. And like you said, he got a shot, man. He got a shot in the big leagues. Because he was a first-round pick. That's it. Have you seen Spencer Torkelson's new stance and swing this year? He looks like a completely different hitter. Yeah, he looks good, man. He looks good. Hopefully because he's kind of been a bust, I mean, he's been a bust. Do you think it was when I'm looking at talent, I mostly look at 60-yard time and velocity off the bat. Everything else can be taught. No, not everything else. Right? Knowing how to hit is very hard to teach. Velocity off the bat, I can tell you this, man. What you just described is Corey Ray. Elite 60 time, really good exit velocity off his bat. Can he hit? No. Right? And so you can't teach that really. You have to figure it out as a hitter, and it's very hard to figure out if you don't know how to do it. So that's how a lot of guys are drafted now. Velocity off the bat, 60-yard time. I mean, I'm kind of, again, it's a little bit of an exaggeration, but like that's how a guy like Corey Ray gets overvalued in a large way. I mean, looking at he had 640 strikeouts in 490 games in the minor leagues. He struck out 1.5 times per game. Which is kind of crazy. Do you think it was from film study of something he tips with his pitches? Just random that this weekend was the weekend the arms got smoked? It could be. It could be picked up live in game, or it could be something picked up on film. I picked up a lot of mine on film, and then probably like 25, 30% live if I couldn't see anything on video, because sometimes the angles aren't great. Lavalette projected top 10, and Mason Neville projected 85th pick. Both center fielders, Neville, uber athletic, and now elite, in my opinion. And again, I mean, Lavalette had all the hype coming in, so he's going to be... I mean, and he's done a great job. Again, I'm not sold on the bat for Lavalette. I think the tools are all there. I don't know. I don't think he sticks in center field. I think he gets moved to a corner outfield spot, which puts more pressure on the bat to just be elite. So that's with me with Lavalette. I just don't... Remember, he was projected to be a first overall pick, potentially. I don't think he gets picked there anymore. But some team is going to pick him in the top 10 picks. And I would be picking someone else in the top 10 round, top 10 picks, just to be honest. Buddy Reed from Florida was a player I thought for sure would play in the MLB, but never made it. Yeah. A lot of guys, man. There's a lot of guys who are really good college players, but again, what you have to realize is that they're feasting most of the time. A good indicator is like how well do they do in conference. That's a good indicator, because most guys, they feast on the non-conference and the early schedule, and then their numbers kind of even out during conference play. Like my junior year, in 30 games in ACC play, I hit 400 flat. So like that's a good indicator. Like, okay, like against the best competition, I played my best. But a lot of guys don't do that. Buddy Reed was a 6'4" center fielder, switch hitter that could absolutely fly. Yep, he was. So like Lavalette for me right now, one of the things you can say is, he walks a lot. He's got 42 walks. He's got 35 strikeouts in 140 at bats. So in 180-ish plate appearances, he's got 35 strikeouts, which is fine. He's only hitting 307. Like that's my thing. My thing with Lavalette is he just doesn't hit for a high enough average for me. Like I want a bat that I draft out of college to, especially like very early in the draft, I want him to like kind of be dominating with the batting average as well. Would you draft Lavalette or Christian Moore from Tennessee last year? Probably Christian Moore. But Buddy Reed never hit more than 262, but his raw talent and ability was so incredible. But if you never hit more than 262, it makes sense he didn't make it to the show. Yeah. Because your average is going to go down in pro ball 90% of the time. Your average is going to be lower than what you hit in college. And usually by a fairly significant margin. I think this weekend also proved what you told Dusty. Kyle Lodies is not a minor league shortstop, but if you ask the FSU color commentator, he said he can play in the big leagues as a shortstop. Yeah, no. I actually heard Devin Travis say that, and I'm just sitting there like, I think he's saying that just to like not seem negative, but like I would have no problem on a broadcast saying like I think he's a utility guy at the next level. I think he gets moved around the infield, second, short, third, maybe even put in the outfield some. He's definitely not a big league shortstop, at least not yet. Like, and he's got a long way to go. And it's something me and Dusty were texting about. Like, just so many, and a guy like Devin Travis should know because he played in the big leagues, had a great career. Obviously, was a great player. I played against him in college. But dude, a big league shortstop, there's not many that can actually play shortstop in the big leagues every day. Those guys are they're the rarest. They're the rarest thing in the game. John, I just read you led the ACC in hits. Yeah, I led the ACC in hits twice in the regular season. So my junior year, I had 98 hits, and no one at Georgia Tech has surpassed that in 15 years. Or, sorry, not 15, 12 years, 13 years. And again, that was back with the super dead bats. So nowadays, I probably would have had 100 and add a few hits on there. Just because a certain ground ball didn't get the infield for me would probably have gotten through the infield. It's way easier to get hits, right? Because if your average exit velocity is up because the balls are juiced, higher the exit velocity, the more likely it is a hit. So I was a hit machine. You know, I bunted for base hits. I played the speed game. So I always had a lot of hits. Was Darryl Strawberry really that talented or overrated? Really that talented, right? It's, you know, drugs can derail your career. You ask anybody, I mean, Darryl Strawberry, everyone thought was going to be a Hall of Famer, but, you know, made bad decisions off the field. Did you see the game yesterday when Wexman was making dog jokes in the booth? Man, I almost had to turn the volume off. Like, and I hate saying that, but it was tough to listen to. John, how are you a Georgia Tech fan and didn't know Kyle was that dude? I ain't no Georgia Tech fan. That's all right. That's all right. Leading the ACC in hits twice is diabolical. Yeah, it was my freshman year and my junior year. My junior year, actually, at the end of the regional, I was like, I think tied for first or second in the country in hits. But then, like, it was me, and you guys will know these names, but it was me, Tony Kemp, and he's still in the big leagues now for the Pirates, second baseman. Went to Mississippi State. I can't remember his name off the bat. He was from Georgia. He went to Mississippi State. All three of us were tops in the country in hits at the end of the regional. We lost to Vanderbilt. Tony Kemp ended up going to either World Series or Super Regional that year, so he ended up going like 102 hits or something. And then the guy from Mississippi State, I can't remember his name, Adam Frazier. It was me, Tony Kemp, and Adam Frazier. We were all like tops of the country in hits at that point. Jacob Wilson from GCU is a great example of elite hitter who's now adding power to his profile. Yeah, I mean, I think if you're in charge of a major league organization, you draft elite hitters. Like elite bat to ball guys can add power, right? Because they have elite bat to ball. That's not going to go away. Just make a little adjustment to the swing to add more power, add more loft. Because those big league balls are juiced, man. Anybody that can hit in the professional baseball, barring a few guys, like will hit for way more power in the big leagues than they do in like the minors for the most part. John, Arizona State. The dog jokes actually made me laugh. It was funny. And playing shortstop. That's right, Cap. Canes, it made my ears bleed. Hampton. John, you can call me a Georgia Tech football fan. Actually, I like their team. Yeah, I think we'll be... I mean, listen, last year, if you look at Georgia Tech's team, if Haynes King hadn't been hurt for 3 or 4 weeks, and even when he came back, he could only throw like 5-yard outs and like screen passes. If Haynes King had been healthy the whole year, like we would have been very close to a playoff team. Baltimore gave up 24 runs today. They pitched 2 position players. The position players gave up 9 runs. Yeah, I mean, I hate when I see that. The position players in the position players pitching in Major League Baseball is disgusting. Tatis looks like he's back on the juice. I mean, he was always really good. But yeah, I mean, who knows? Who knows? That's the problem when you get popped once, right? As soon as you have success again, everyone's going to start saying, oh, is he on juice again? Tatis and Machado are fun to watch. Yeah, I remember playing against Machado at East Coast Pro before he got drafted the next year super high. I mean, he was legit. And Javi Baez as well. I remember facing Javi Baez in travel ball when he played for the East Cobb Braves, and the guy pitching for us went to my high school who was committed to Georgia Tech and was like low 90s with run and sink, hammer curveball, and he went 4 for 4 off him. And that's when I was like, that guy's pretty good. Padres looking good. Yep. I was impressed with Schaus pitching for y'all today. He came in throwing 95. Yeah, I'm surprised he hasn't thrown like at all this year, because I remember talking to the coaching staff about him, and they thought, I hope I'm remembering this correctly, but I remember them saying like, we think he's going to be better as a pitcher because he's a position player as well, shortstop in high school. But like the arm talent's like really good. So I'm surprised that was like his first time really pitching. Tatis does not look like he's on the juice. Well, sometimes they don't. Another question for you. If you were advising a recruit today and Miami is one of his choices, would you advise him differently today compared to 1 month ago? Probably not, man. I mean, ultimately, dude, for any recruit out there and anyone who's listening, it's just about like, where are you going to have the best chance to get on the field right away? Because for a lot of guys, let's say they got an offer from Miami and they got an offer from Florida and they got an offer from Florida State. It's like, of those three, where are you more likely to be able to break into the lineup as a freshman? Right now, it's probably Miami. So, I mean, it's probably, I probably wouldn't be advising them any differently. The time to get on juice is in college since they don't test. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if they do now. I mean, I don't think they did when I was playing, but you definitely get tested before the draft and stuff. So, at least some people do. Yeah, they definitely test Miami for certain reasons. Yeah. Do you think Tatis is on the juice? I don't know, man. Like, this is what you guys have to understand about like what people are taking now. What people are taking now is a lot of times they'll take like a test booster and it will just elevate their testosterone levels for like 12 hours a day. But by the time they get to the field, like the testosterone levels are back within like the normal reading for their baseline. So they get that like added recovery and anabolic state and everything, and then it comes back down. There's a lot of advanced stuff that guys are doing that I've heard about. So, I mean, it could be, again, it's probably, they're not taking a like literal like steroid. If they are, they're an idiot because they're just going to get popped instantly. But they're taking certain things that will kind of help them recover faster, help them stay healthy, maintain bat speed, stuff like that. There's a different type of fear you can take. Some focus on increasing fast twitch muscles. Gear. Yeah. That's what I thought you were saying. How is your hairline so good? I mean, I have good genetics. Look at my dad. My hair is going gray, though, if you can tell right here. It's starting to go gray here, starting to go gray here, and I've got gray hairs all through my hair now. But I'll have a full head of hair for a long time. See? I'm not saying I'm going to keep the color in my hair, but I'm going to keep my hair. You can take growth hormone, i.e. Barry Bonds, and not test positive since that is naturally produced in your body. Yeah, but they test for the level of hormone. I mean, the only reason that Barry Bonds didn't test positive back then is, one, the tests they were using were ridiculous, but also it just wasn't like like the testing protocols and everything were not nearly good enough. The way I look at it, Dorian isn't even a minor league player before the 8-2 run. It was looking like this was his last month of baseball, so why not juice? If you get popped, you get popped. I don't know about that. The school will just cover for you like we always do. We're either juicing or stealing calls or signs. How else do you explain such a drastic turnaround? We're juicing and on Adderall, like Kyle says. People in MLB this, like Kyle says, people in the MLB do this. Yeah, I mean, 100%. There's a lot of players on Adderall. 99.9% of college baseball players are working their ass off in the weight room and eating well. It's not the 80s. Yeah, you're right. I mean, the vast majority of college players are not taking anything. Does it really help some players to have dip in their lip when playing? I don't know if it... I mean, I guess you could say the nicotine is kind of a stimulant, but it's more just like a feel-good thing. Like, hey, I got 3 hits yesterday with this in, I'm going to do it again type thing. When I was in college, they drug tested the 3 smallest guys in the team. Yeah. Exogenous growth hormone is easily detectable. Yeah. Yeah. And like now, there's no way you could take that and get away with it. There's just none. And actually, actually Major League Baseball tests for the masking agents as well. So let's say you were taking something that would mask what you're taking. Well, you test positive for a masking agent, so you test positive. Barely get the ball out of the infield. Barely get the ball out of the infield, and he's hitting opposite field bombs. I mean, who knows? Yes, good hair genetics, and you can always dye it. That's true. That's true. Even though I don't know if I'd want to. I also think guys like Derek Williams should be juicing. Canes, you're crazy, man. You're crazy. Do they test a school once at the beginning of the year? I'm not sure what they do now, man. I just know we got tested, like, I would say maybe twice a year. Like, it wasn't that much. Maybe 3. And it was mostly for street drugs. Since the point of juicing is for recovery, he is injured and needs recovery. This is also most likely his 2 to 3 months of meaningful baseball. You never hear any college players getting caught taking juice. Yeah, well, I think, again, Zach, what you have to remember is that, like, most players are not going to risk getting caught to gain some kind of advantage. They're just not. Now, when you get to pro ball and there's like big time money on the line, are people going to take that risk? Sure, there will be people that will. Zach, because the athletic trainer randomly picks 3 people and never picks the ones on gear. Maybe. Again, I haven't been a college player for 12 or 13 years, so I don't even know what the testing protocol is now for like Division 1. And you can say he violated team rules. True. Virginia, Georgia Tech is a monster series for both teams. Yeah, it is. You basically have to take gear if you play D1 football. Maybe. I mean, I did hear I did hear from guys that had played in the NFL who basically said the NFL testing was a joke, and that you kind of knew months in advance when you were getting tested and stuff. So certainly a lot of those guys, from what I had heard from this player, were on stuff. But, take it with a grain of salt. Not really, John says. Oregon has 73 home runs. Canes, I should have asked an NFL player today. Yeah, and I could be wrong, but that's what I was told. That basically the testing was kind of a joke. And an NFL player was at my Easter dinner. All right, guys. I got to go to bed, but I will be back tomorrow with another stream. Thanks for joining. I know I had to show face after Miami just dominated my guys at Georgia Tech. But appreciate you guys joining. Cap says Oregon's lineup only West Coast team that can hang with the big boys. I don't disagree. Oregon's legit. Oregon is legit. All right. All right, guys. Have a good rest of your night. Get some sleep.